Here's an old piece of equipment that is still relevant today because it's worked for a lot of years and it still does work. If you don't have one of these in your gym, I suggest you get one. It's called a chest expander. They're just these spring expanding units here. This one's been around a long time. As you can probably tell, it's kind of seen some use and abuse. Basically, you just pull them apart and you can do different exercises with them. This is an older model because it's still the metal springs and the wooden handles type thing here. I'll show you some newer stuff in a moment here. But really this is great for home training, for judo, sambo, jiu-jitsu, grappling, any of the sports we do. This is great for the upper back as well. We call it chest expanders, but it's kind of a misnomer. Actually, it works a lot of your back that you really need to work for what we do. And also your deltoids, really great. But it also works the pectorals to some degree, but not nearly as much as your pectoral, your deltoids, your shoulders, and your upper back. It's also good for the arms and the upper arms themselves. So you're going to be getting some pulling action. It really, what it looks like is this: you just hold it here in front of you and pull it apart. Just pull it apart like this. And you can do them seated or standing, whichever works. Sometimes you do them seated, sometimes you do them standing. It really doesn't matter. But you're just basically pulling, you're expanding these springs like this. And you can do them 5 sets of 10 repetitions, or like 5 sets of as many repetitions per set. However you want to do it. You can do 2 sets of repetitions of as many as you can do. However you want to work it, it's a good warm-up exercise. I use it just about every workout actually that I'm not on the mat, that I'm down here in the gym. I'll use this in the spring bars as my warm-up, and it really does warm me up quite well. 2 springs for me is certainly enough. This unit will hold 3, but you have to be King Kong to pull them apart. These are pretty stiff old springs. But they really are old school, but they work. Let's take a look at some other units like this that are more currently on the market. You're going to see units like this that are the bands, and I'm a big believer in using bands. I know a lot of people are. This is a fairly stiff band here, this purple one, and you can buy them, where you have 1 or 2 or 3, how many ever bands you want to use, the hook here, and they do come apart. So if you do break a band, you can always adjust it, just like on the springs. You can take them off or on, adjust them as you wish. So these are nice to have, and you can pull these apart the same way you did the spring chest expander. Just pull it apart like this. There you go. You see that movement. Now let's take a look at how you can do these chest expanders seated, and not so much chest expanders anymore. I guess you just call them expanders. So you can sit here on your bench or anything, kneel down on the floor, whatever you want to do, put it above your head and pull. This is a good exercise. This is great for the shoulders, great for the upper back. And again, do several sets of 10 repetitions or how many ever you want. It's a great warm-up. It's also a good cool-down after a good workout in the weight room to do these. I sometimes do these as a cool-down. And it's a good movement to do. So they're really good. And again, they come in different levels of strength per band. These are rubber bands. You can get 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know how many. You can just look on eBay, and you can find a lot of different things. Or sporting goods stores, they're available. Another thing that's readily available. Another thing is quite available out there on the internet or sporting goods stores. Is a chest expander type thing, only it's you see how these little handles here, these little soft foam handles, and these come in different, these bands come in different strength, tensils of strength, so you can just pull them apart this way and use it like you did the other band where you had the static handles, or the spring chest expanders, but these are quite good as well. And I think they're a little bit less expensive than the other units. So if you're working on a budget, and a lot of us are, this is a good way to do it. Again, you can do it seated over your head. You can do a lot of different exercises. You can put your 1 foot in here and do curls, as with all these chest expanders. So it is a good versatile piece of equipment to have in your gym. It's also a great piece of equipment to take on the road with you if you're traveling. You know, if you're going to go to a competition or a fight or something, and you want a good way to warm up, these bands are fabulous for this. You can put them in a bag. Again, I wouldn't put the metal ones in a bag if you're flying somewhere, but certainly these rubber ones you can put in the bag, your gym bag or whatever, carry on and have them, and you can use in hotel rooms or wherever you want to use them, warm up before a contest. But they're actually very great. So here you go on the bands. These are great pieces of equipment to have in your gym. And the chest expanders, again, it's old school, but certainly is worth keeping around and using. You don't have to pull chest expanders across the chest. You can use it in other ways as well. So let's take a look at some here. We'll use this one, and you can pull down like this, pull it apart this way. And you see you're pulling apart here. It really does work. Especially outer heads here, your deltoid here, your shoulder area here, works the upper back as well. Here you can do fairly low, down here like this. As I showed this, with your hands pulled down here, but you still have it forward and pull across this way. And we're really isolating the delts when we're doing this. We need the delts, the shoulders, a lot for a lot of the things we do in the sports we do. Chest expanders are useful for many exercises, really. And just use your imagination, guys. It's really, it's not that hard. Just play around with this and see what you come up with. And what we're going to use right now is for our pulling hand, okay, our hikite, if we're coming into a throw and we're pulling like this. So we're going to work on using that. And how I'm going to do it is, and by the way, I like to use the rubber bands as opposed to the springs for these, simply because these are more flexible. You can turn them more easily, and they last a lot longer than the springs do for this type of movement. So it's something to think about in having these nice rubberized bands. So anyway, this hand, when we pulling with this hand is just going to be anchored here. And I can anchor it anywhere, but you know, I'll show you in a minute here. But I'm just going to hold it here, like I'd be setting them up here and pulling here like this. Okay, so here it is. All right, this is going to be pulling, and this is the hikite action like this. And you can step into it if you want, whatever. But see how I'm turning away, trying to use good form, elbow up, pulling out. And that's how I'm using that movement. I'm looking at it just like I'd be doing some practice on the mat. But I'm turning away, see this? And there is the action of doing that. You can also do it for just generally pulling. Just pulling an opponent around like this. This is your anchor. You're not pulling them apart, you're holding it here. Just pulling it apart like this. And you can get the rotation and turn into it. Again, they're rather specific exercises for breaking down parts of the throw you want to develop. You know, and again, when we pull someone with this hikite here, you know, we use quite a bit of your deltoid, your forearm, your upper back. You know, a lot of muscles come into play here, and this type of movement really does help in it. Now also, you don't always pull with your hikite. You know, when you pull upward, you can pull downward. So when you're doing that, set your anchor a little higher. So say I'm pulling him down, like I'm going to step in for like an osotogari or something. I'm pulling his elbow straight down. So you can do the same thing, just pulling down. And just pulling the muscle in. You can just pull in like this. Any direction you want to work on the pulling action. It really is effective, and I would highly recommend it. Let's take a look at how we can use the chest expanders, and again, we're talking about the bands as opposed to the springs, to set your power hand, your surikomi, the lifting hand, surite action here. So let's say I'm going to do a lefty, okay, and I want to work on my left. So a good way, when we're throwing somebody, we want to set them up here, okay, we want to pull them up here, okay, so this action here I want to develop, okay. All right, now I want to anchor with this hand pretty much down here by my hip, and that way it'll make this hand work harder. So see how I've got it hooked here? And with this hand, I'm just going to pull up, and that's the surite action, okay. And this is the other one. Elbow up, or fist up, elbow down. Try to maintain good form, as good as form as you're going to do with this thing. But what this does is pull. And you can also do the same thing as you pull this way, you can step into it. So now I'm going to get a little more pulling action with my hikite, my pulling hand here, and it's really for this hand here, this is surite. So you know, I'm not using very good form on this one because this is really not the one I'm exercising right now, it's this one. So And that's what that movement is. It's just extra work that helps make the muscles stronger, that make these things happen. Okay, so that's why we're doing it off-mat training. That's why we're doing it here in the gym. You could probably do these before as a warm-up on the mat. But again, you use these more for these are chest expanders. They're not just for doing chest expanders. They can be used in a lot of other ways too.